Maya Thompson, a young black delivery rider, pedaled her rattling bike up the long hill toward the Hawthorne estate, praying that 24 cups of coffee in her bag would survive the climb and maybe earn her a tip big enough to cover rent. She had barely caught her breath when a piercing scream shattered the quiet air. Through the massive window, she saw a swarm of doctors circling an elderly man on the bed, frozen, confused, helpless. Before she even realized it, Maya dropped her bike, grabbed her worn red bag, and sprinted for the front door. What she did in the next 2 minutes would change every life inside that mansion. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Maya Thompson's legs burned as she climbed the long, winding road toward the ridge, the part of town where lawns never had weeds and mailboxes looked like tiny mansions of their own. Her bike rattled beneath her, the chain clicking like it wanted to give up. Cold air bit her cheeks. Her fingers, tucked into thin gloves, were stiff and aching, but she kept going. She always kept going. 24 cups of fresh brewed coffee sat in a carrier behind her, each one carefully packed at the diner where she worked the night shift. She'd clocked out at 3 a.m., slept maybe 3 hours, and then rushed back out for the early deliveries. Rent was due. Grandma Lee needed medicine. And Maya had learned early that life doesn't pause for tired people. She checked her phone. 7:42 a.m. Plenty of time, if nothing went wrong. The houses grew larger as she climbed, stretching wide across perfect lawns, their windows glowing in the soft morning light. This world isn't ours, her grandma always said. But that don't mean you walk through it any smaller. Maya whispered the words under her breath, letting them push her forward. She turned into the side entrance of the Hawthorne estate, the biggest property on the hill, owned by a family she'd only seen on the news. She took a deep breath and steadied her hands. The Hawthornes tipped well, but they expected perfection. As Maya lifted the coffee carrier from her bike, a sound cut through the quiet morning. Scream. Raw, desperate, the kind that makes your insides freeze. Maya jerked her head up. It came from inside the mansion. Somewhere on the second floor, another shout followed, sharper, frantic, and then the unmistakable rush of many feet. Her breath hitched. Through a tall window, she saw flashes of white coats, a crowd of people moving in a hurried, chaotic circle. A man lay on a bed, shaking violently. Maya's heart thudded in her chest. She'd seen this before, not in a house like this. Not surrounded by expensive machines and doctors, but in a cramped apartment hallway. When her elderly neighbor collapsed, gasping, her body jerking just the same way. Back then, the paramedics didn't know what was wrong. But Grandma Lee did. She'd pushed past them, calm as a slow river, and had spotted the cause instantly. A hidden poison, drifting through the air from a cheap plug-in scent dispenser. Not medicine. Not illness. Air. Bad air. Now, watching through the window of this mansion, Maya caught a faint drift of something sweet, too sweet, mixing with the cold breeze. Her eyes swept the room again. In the far corner sat a sleek, glowing machine, pulsing out a steady stream of perfumed mist. Her stomach dropped. No, she whispered. No. That's not good. Her delivery sat forgotten at her feet. Instinct tugged at her hard. She wasn't a doctor. She wasn't trained. She was just a girl trying to make it another month. But someone in there was dying, and all those professionals looked helpless. Grandma's voice echoed in the back of her mind. If you can help, child, you help. Maya clenched her jaw. Then she bolted toward the front door. The towering wooden door felt like it belonged to a castle. She pounded on it with both fists. 3 hits. 6 hits. Louder each time. Finally, the door cracked open, and a man who looked like a brick wall stepped into view. He had a security badge, shoulders as wide as the doorway, and an expression that didn't move an inch. "Deliveries go around back," he said. Someone's dying upstairs. Maya blurted, his brows pulled together slightly. Not enough. I can help, she said, breathless. I know what's happening. Please just let me try. We have a medical team on site, he replied. They don't know what's wrong, Maya said. Look at me, I shouldn't even be here. But I recognize what I saw. And if you send me away, that man is going to die. Silence. Heavy, cold. Maya's foot stayed in the door. Her voice trembled, but she kept it steady. If I'm wrong, kick me out. Call the police. Whatever you want, but if I'm right. She swallowed hard. Please. Let me try. The man studied her face, her shaking hands, her worn jacket, the panic she wasn't hiding, and something in him shifted. He stepped back. You've got 2 minutes, he said. If the family says no, you're out. Maya didn't wait. She rushed inside. Her sneakers squeaking on polished marble, her heart pounding as she ran toward the staircase. The screams had stopped. That was worse, much worse. She took the steps 2 at a time. Her breath tore in and out of her lungs. At the top of the stairs, bright lights spilled from an open door. Voices overlapped, angry, scared. Lost. She pushed into the room. 20 people turned toward her at once. Doctors, nurses, specialists, all staring. On the bed lay an older man in silk pajamas. His skin gray-blue, his chest dragging for air. His eyes half closed as his body jerked weakly. At the foot of the bed stood his son. A man maybe in his mid-30s, tall, wearing a suit that looked like it hadn't been ironed in days. His eyes were red and sleepless, and he stared at Maya like he couldn't decide if she was hope or madness. A doctor barked. Who let her in here? But Maya didn't flinch. I know what's hurting him, she said. Her voice somehow cut through everything. If you give me 2 minutes, I can help. Maya felt every eye in the room weighing her down, pressing on her like a spotlight she never asked for. The doctor stood rigid, offended, confused. But the son, the man in the wrinkled suit, didn't look away. What did you say? He asked, voice rough and cracking. I can help him, Maya said softly. But you have to let me get close. A woman doctor with silver hair and sharp eyes stepped forward. Security, she snapped. Remove her, now. But the son lifted a hand. No, he said. Let her speak. The room went still. Maya swallowed, forcing her voice to stay steady. You've been trying medicines, machines, everything you know. But none of it's stopping this. She pointed toward the corner of the room, to the sleek, humming diffuser releasing more scented mist. That thing is poisoning him. Half the doctors scoffed. One actually laughed, but Maya didn't blink. The son turned slowly toward the diffuser, confusion cracking into fear. That? He whispered. That's lavender. Pure lavender. I bought it for him. Maya shook her head. No, real lavender doesn't smell like that. She stepped carefully toward the machine. And those seizures he's having? That labored breathing? That gray skin? She took a slow breath, letting old memories rise. I've seen this before. The air he's breathing is toxic. The silver-haired doctor bristled. Impossible. We've run every test. Did you test for synthetic fragrance compounds? Maya asked. Silenced. The younger doctor, dark-skinned, kind eyes, spoke up quietly. We didn't. Maya nodded once. He needs clean air. And he needs help clearing what he's already breathed in. The son stared at her like she'd just turned on a light in a dark room. What do you want us to do? He asked. Maya took a breath. First, turn that machine off. Right now. He didn't hesitate. He rushed over, yanked the plug from the wall, and carried the diffuser across the room like it was a venomous snake. The silver-haired doctor gasped. Mr. Hawthorne, you cannot. He's my father, he said quietly. And nothing you're doing is working. He turned back to Maya. What else? Open the windows, she said. He threw them open. letting cold morning air sweep inside. The curtains billowed, the room breathing again for the first time. Maya dropped to her knees beside her backpack, her hands shaking as she dug through it. Dried herbs, wrapped leaves, a small tin her grandmother had packed months ago, just in case. The younger doctor knelt beside her. "What do you need?" "A bowl of very hot water," Maya said. "And towels." A housekeeper hurried off. Maya rose and moved to the bedside. Up close, the man looked smaller than he had from the doorway, weaker, fading like a candle burning too low. His breath stuttered. A faint foam clung to the corner of his mouth. "Sir?" she whispered, even though he couldn't respond. "I'm going to help you. I promise." The son stood on the opposite side of the bed, gripping the old man's hand. "What are you going to do to him?" he asked. "What my grandmother taught me," Maya said. "Nothing dangerous. Nothing harsh. Just giving his body the support it needs to fight back." The housekeeper returned with steaming water and towels. Maya mixed the herbs with practiced hands, crushing them until the air filled with warm, earthy scents. She lowered the bowl near the man's chest and draped the towels to form a loose tent, letting steam rise toward his face. The silver-haired doctor scoffed again. "This is absurd." "Please be quiet," Maya said gently. "He needs calm." The younger doctor pulled out her phone. "I'll time it," she said. Maya placed her fingers lightly on the older man's neck, pressing two small points her grandmother had once shown her. "These calm the nerves," she whispered. "They help the body settle." The room held its breath. 30 seconds passed at no change. 60 seconds. The man's breath shifted. Just slightly, a deeper pull of air. "Respiratory rate is improving." The younger doctor murmured. 90 seconds. Color began returning to the man's lips. Faint at first, then stronger. 2 minutes. The jerking of his limbs eased. 2 minutes 10. The gray tint softened. 2 minutes 20. The machine stopped screaming warnings. Their frantic beeps became steady ticks. Maya lifted the towels carefully, letting the steam drift away. And then, the old man's eyes opened, cloudy, confused. But open. "Evan?" he croaked, looking at his son. The man in the suit crumpled with a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "Dad," he whispered. "Dad, I'm right here." The room exploded into motion, doctors crowding around, checking vitals, stammering disbelief. Maya stepped back, her knees shaky with relief. She'd done it. Grandma Lee's lessons had saved another life. The son turned toward her through tears, his voice breaking. You saved him," he said. "You, who are you?" Maya hugged her bag to her chest. "I'm just someone who knows a few things," she said softly. "That's all." She slipped toward the door, but he called after her. "Wait. Please wait." She froze. He stepped closer, face raw, honest. "I need to talk to you." She shook her head. "I have deliveries. I'm already late." "I'll pay you for the whole day," he said. "Whatever you would have earned 10 times that. Just, please." Maya stared at him. She didn't want his money. What she wanted was simple. "To go home," she said. "To check on my grandmother. To finish my shift. To go back to my life." He swallowed hard. "My name is Evan Hawthorne," he said softly. "And I owe you more than I can ever repay." Maya didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. "Not yet. Can we talk?" Evan asked again. 10 minutes, Maya said. That's all. She didn't know it then, but those 10 minutes were about to change the rest of her life. Maya wheeled her bike to the far edge of the driveway, away from the mansion's constant murmur of voices and radios and hurried footsteps. She stood there, arms wrapped around herself, the cold finally catching up to her bones. Evan joined her slowly, like he didn't want to startle her. "Thank you for staying," he said quietly. Maya kept her eyes on the gravel. "You said 10 minutes. She reminded him. He nodded. "I wanted to ask." He paused, searching for words. How did you know what was wrong? How did you see something all of us missed? Maya stared out at the tall iron gate, remembering the smell, the panic, the old fear that still lived inside her. My grandmother, she said. She's been helping people in our neighborhood for decades. Folks go to her when doctors give up or bills get too high. Evan listened without blinking. She taught me what to look for, Maya continued. She taught me to pay attention to the air people breathe, the things they touch, the small clues everybody else overlooks. He nodded slowly, absorbing every word. Then she's an incredible woman, he said. Maya smiled, but only a little. She is. But she's getting older. I'm trying to help her more now. A quiet settled between them, soft, thoughtful. The kind of quiet that wasn't empty, but full of things unsaid. Evan cleared his throat. Maya, what do you want? He asked. Not right this second. I mean in life. What's your dream? She laughed under her breath. My dream? I don't have time for that. Make time now, he said gently. She looked down at her scuffed shoes. I want to learn everything I can, she whispered. Real medicine. Traditional healing. I want to blend them together to help people who fall through the cracks because nobody sees them. Evan's brow furrowed. Why haven't you pursued that? I dropped out of high school to work full-time, she said simply. I've been trying to save up for my GED, but life keeps happening. Evan leaned against the stone wall beside her, looking out over the city below. You saved my father's life, he said. And you did it with knowledge most people don't even know exists. He turned toward her. I want to help you. Not as charity. Not as a favor. As an investment, because what you know can change lives. Maya stiffened. I'm not a project, she said. I'm not someone you rescue to feel better. Evan held up a hand. No, this isn't about me. This is about what you've already proven you're capable of. He hesitated, then continued. I can fund your GED, your college, your medical training, whatever path you choose. And I would do it with no strings attached. Her breath caught in her throat. That's too much, she said. It's not, he replied softly. It's the least I can do. The wind picked up. The leaves whispered along the driveway. Maya's fingers tightened on her bike handlebar. I need to talk to my grandmother, she said. Of course. And you need to think about whether you actually mean this, she added. People make promises when emotions are high. Then they forget. Evan stepped closer, voice steady. I won't forget, he said. Tell me where to meet you. I'd like to thank your grandmother myself. Maya hesitated, testing him. My place isn't like this, she said. It's small. It's old. We don't have marble floors and chandeliers. He smiled gently. I'm coming to see you, not your decor. She finally gave him the address. Tomorrow. 6 o'clock. But if you're not serious. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Don't come. I don't want my grandmother disappointed. Evan nodded. I'll be there, he said. He reached into his jacket and handed her a simple card. My direct number. Call me if anything changes. Maya turned the card in her hand, feeling the weight of the moment settle around her. Thank you, she said quietly. And for the first time since they met, Evan didn't look like a billionaire's son. He looked like a man truly grateful to be alive and grateful that his father still was too. He extended his hand, an honest handshake, not a polite one. Maya shook it, feeling a strange warmth spread through her chest. See you tomorrow, he said. Then he headed back toward the sprawling mansion, his steps a little steadier than before. Maya watched him go, her mind spinning. Then she climbed onto her rattling bike, grabbed the cold coffee carrier, and pushed off down the hill back toward her own world, her own worries, her own tiny apartment with peeling paint and warm memories. Tomorrow would change everything. But for now, she just had to make her next delivery. Later that evening, Maya wiped down the kitchen counter for the third time, though it didn't need it. She kept glancing at the clock, at the front door, at her grandmother's quiet face. Grandma Lee sat in her favorite chair, a blanket over her knees, hands folded neatly. Her eyes sharp as ever followed Maya's every nervous step. "Child, you're going to scrub a hole straight through that counter," Grandma said. Maya stopped, exhaling. I want the place to look nice." "It does look nice," Grandma replied. "It looks lived in. Loved in. That's more important than nice." Maya sat across from her, twisting her fingers. "I don't know if he'll show," she whispered. Grandma's eyes softened. "He will. Some people, you can read the truth in them. That boy? He's shaken, grateful, and looking for solid ground. He'll come." But even she looked toward the clock as the minute hand-crawled dot at exactly 6 o'clock. A knock echoed softly through the apartment. Maya froze. Grandma smiled. "Go on," she said. "Let the man in." Maya opened the door and almost didn't recognize him. Evan Hawthorne stood in the hallway dressed neatly. His hair combed, but there was a gentleness about him that hadn't been there that morning. And next to him stood his father, the man she'd helped save. He leaned on a cane, but his face was warm, steady, and very much alive. "Miss Thompson," he said, voice thin but grateful. "Thank you for letting an old man visit." "Please," Maya said, stepping aside. "Come in." They entered the small apartment, taking in the humble room-framed photos of family, shelves of herbs, a tiny kitchen that smelled faintly of ginger and mint. Grandma Lee didn't stand. She didn't have to. Her presence filled the room like a rooted tree. Evan stepped forward and bowed, his head slightly. "Mrs. Lee," he said, "thank you for teaching your granddaughter what she knows. You saved my father's life through her." Grandma lifted her chin, eyes narrowing, measuring him, weighing him. "Maya saved your daddy," she corrected. "I just passed on what my mother passed to me." She motioned toward the couch. "Sit, both of you." They did. Evan sat perfectly upright, hands clasped, choosing every word with care. "I want to help Maya continue her education," he began. "Fully, all the way from GED to whatever medical training she chooses." Grandma didn't move. "What's the catch?" she asked. "No catch," Evan said. "No contracts. No obligations. She owes us nothing. We owe her. And why would you spend that kind of money on my granddaughter?" Grandma pressed. Her tone wasn't hostile, only protective. Evan looked down at his hands, then up again, earnest. "Because I've never seen someone do what she did," he said. "Not even trained professionals. Not with that calm, that certainty, that instinct." His father added, "Child, I felt myself slipping away. Everything was noise. Until she got near me. Then suddenly my breath came back. My mind cleared. She saved me. Plain and simple." Grandma's eyes flicked to Maya, pride shining beneath the sternness. "And if Maya says yes," Grandma asked slowly, "what do you expect from her in return?" "Only that she follows the path she wants," Evan said. "And that she uses what she learns to help people, however she chooses. Not for me. Not for my family. For herself." The room went quiet. Grandma leaned back, her gaze steady and unreadable. "I want a lawyer I trust to look over anything you bring," she said. "Of course," Evan replied immediately. "I'll cover all costs." "I want Maya to stay here with me until she's ready to move for school," Grandma added. "Absolutely. And if you ever try to take back your promise," Grandma said, voice sharpening, "I'll make sure every reporter in this city hears about how you used a young woman who saved your father's life." Evan didn't flinch. "That's fair," he said. "And deserved if I failed to keep my word." Grandma nodded once, then she turned to Maya. "This isn't my choice," she said softly. "It's yours." Maya felt her throat swell. All the years of holding her breath, All the nights she'd studied under streetlight glow. All the exhaustion, it all rose at once. I want it, she whispered. I want to learn. I want to help people the way you taught me. Grandma smiled, placing her weathered hand over Maya's. Then you will. Evan exhaled, relief obvious. I'll bring the documents tomorrow, he said. And Maya. Thank you, truly. His father stood with effort, leaning on his cane. If it's all right, he said to Grandma, I'd like to come back next week to learn more about the herbs your family uses. Grandma's eyes softened for the first time. You come, she said. I'll teach you. Evan and his father left quietly. Closing the door behind them, Maya let out a long, shaking breath. Grandma reached up and cupped her face gently. You're going to change things, she murmured. For yourself. For this neighborhood. For folks who've never been seen by the big hospitals. Remember that. Maya nodded, tears burning her eyes. I'm scared, she whispered. Good, Grandma said. It means you know the road is important. She gave Maya's hand a squeeze. Now rest, child. Tomorrow your whole life begins. Maya never forgot that night. The next morning came bright and cool, sunlight slipping through the thin curtains of their small living room. She started her GED prep that same month. And once she began, she never stopped. She studied at the kitchen table, on the bus, during lunch breaks at the diner, late at night when her eyes burned and her hands trembled. 4 months later, she passed. Her grandmother placed both hands on her cheeks and whispered, I knew you could. Then came community college, 2 years of hard work and honors. Then a transfer to a university where the coursework was harder, the classrooms bigger, and the students more confident than she'd ever been. But Maya held her own. She carried a whole community inside her. She carried her grandmother, 3 years into her journey. At the end of a long night in the library, her phone rang. Unknown number. Against her instincts. She answered. A man with a quiet voice introduced himself as Dr. Kim. Your grandmother was brought in an hour ago, he said. She had a severe stroke. You should come now. The world slipped sideways. The textbook slid from her hands. She didn't remember rushing outside. She didn't remember the bus ride. Only the cold hospital hallway. And the sound of her own heartbeat in her ears. Grandma. Lee lay in a bed surrounded by machines, her chest rising and falling because a machine told it to. Her eyes closed. Her spirit somewhere far away. Dr. Kim explained the damage. The chances. The choice. Maya barely heard him. For 3 days, she stayed by her grandmother's side, holding her hand, whispering stories from her classes. The things she was learning, the dream they were building together. But her grandmother never woke. On the 3rd night, Maya went home just long enough to breathe. The apartment felt lonely, too quiet, still holding hope and fear tangled together. She reached for a photo album. On the last page, tucked inside the sleeve, she found a letter addressed to her, just her name. Her hands shook as she opened it. Her grandmother's handwriting flowed like calm water. If you're reading this, child, then my time is done. And you're standing in a place where love and letting go feel the same. Do not keep me alive out of fear. When my mind is gone, let my body rest. You have become everything I prayed you'd be. Now you must continue on your own. The tears didn't stop. Not for a long time. The next morning, she returned to the hospital and gave her decision with a breaking heart, but a steady voice. They removed the machines at sunset. Maya held her grandmother's hand, told her she loved her, told her she would keep going. And 10 minutes later, on a quiet breath, Grandma Lee slipped away. Evan and his father came to stand with her. They didn't try to fix the moment. They just stayed. 5 days later, the church in South Brookside filled with people, hundreds of them, all with stories, all with memories, all with gratitude. People she never knew her grandmother had helped. After the service, Maya stood alone by the fresh earth. "I'll make you proud," she whispered. "I'll finish what we started." The wind brushed her cheek, almost warm. Almost like an answer, Maya continued her studies with a new fire in her chest. She entered medical school. It was brutal, fast, overwhelming. She failed an exam, cried in her car, and almost quit once. Then she remembered her grandmother's hands guiding hers. Her voice saying, "Bodies are systems. Everything connected." And suddenly the hardest chapters made sense. She pushed forward. In her final year, she worked with patients who reminded her of home, folks without money, without insurance, without trust. She used everything she learned from books. And everything from her grandmother. Word spread. Professors who once doubted her began asking questions. Students asked her to teach study groups. Doctors asked her to present her methods. And one day during her residency, when she was finishing a long shift, her phone buzzed. "Evan, I'm ready," he said. "Ready to build the health center we talked about." She drove straight to meet him. They walked an empty lot in South Brookside, a corner where an old store had burned down years ago. "This is where it goes," he said. "A place where people get the care they deserve, not just the care they can afford." Maya closed her eyes. She could almost hear her grandmother humming. They built it, brick by brick, a clinic with modern equipment, but also a garden growing the herbs her grandmother had taught her about, a teaching kitchen, a healing circle where conversations flowed like water, a pharmacy with both prescriptions and traditional remedies. When the doors opened, the line of patients stretched around the block, people from every street, every background, people who believed in her, people who needed hope. And on the wall inside the entrance, in brushed metal letters, the Lee Community Health Center honoring the healer who started it all. Evan and his father attended the opening. Harrison, now in his 80s, leaned close to Maya. "Your grandmother would be proud," he said quietly. Maya smiled, tears rising but happy ones. "We're just getting started," she told him. As patients filled the waiting room, as staff moved gently around them, as sunlight streamed onto the rooftop garden, Maya stepped outside for a moment of stillness. The wind rustled the leaves. She closed her eyes. And for just a heartbeat, she felt her grandmother beside her, warm, proud, present. "I made it, Grandma," she whispered. "And I'm not stopping now." The wind brushed her cheek again, soft as a blessing. Then Maya turned, opened the clinic door, and stepped inside, ready to help the next person who needed her.